Pro Counter-Strike is back with some fresh roster moves, so I figured I'd look at Spinx's first 3 games for Vitality to see if he could be their savior. Vitality are a team who should be competing for trophies. So first I'll look at whether I think Spinx will be an upgrade, and then I'll answer whether I think he can put them into championship contender level. Let's start by looking at his first map. Spinx's Vitality debut was on Dust 2. And you can instantly see here on the CT side, he is taking Masuta's old spot, which was over towards A long as that anchor, which is not an easy spot to play. These initial shots, though, should have been a little easier than Spinx made them look. These are a couple of whiffs. But despite this long threat, he is able to rotate and help Apex on the A site with this important frag before looking back towards A long. And this is already a good sign of things to come with some of the nice timings he had with his new teammates. Skipping ahead, in this one, Spinx actually helps Dupree get established on A long early in this round, so he can double up on the site with Apex. And I love how comfortable Spinx looks playing Goose here, as he stays in full control of the situation, doesn't peek too early to give away a 1v1 fight, and instead waits for Apex to smoke this molly before swinging together and then getting this second kill towards long. Smart play with his teammate, and it shows that firepower he can bring. Nothing too special here, but in this one, as Spinx is able to play up advanced towards blue bin, I love how once he hears these nades being thrown from short, he's able to quickly rotate over while also being aware of the possibility of a lurk through long. And that really helps delay this push towards the A site, and yet again, it's pretty solid play alongside his teammates. And I also love how in the very next round, where he hears these exact same nades, this time he decides to play aggressively. This is the sort of playmaking I think he'll provide a little more often than Masuta used to. And as I was suggesting previously, his timings in these positions were fantastic. I think Mahone also pointed this out on the Blast broadcast. Shout out Mahone one time, by the way. Make sure to check out his channel too. But it's great how Spinx realizes he's the only one coming in from short, so he just needs to wait for his teammates to take contact, and that's going to allow him to either wait for T aggression towards his position, or just get the flank timing once his teammates do eventually take contact. And that's exactly what ends up happening as he gets 2 free kills. He also makes a similar aggressive play in round 13, and again, the timing on this aggression is textbook. As with 30 seconds left in the round, if you clear out A long, that is huge info for your teammates and a possible flank. And it's really important to have players that are willing to make this sort of play a couple of times throughout a half. And you can clearly see how this play is very valuable as Spinx gets a kill and also is able to tell his teammates that A long is something they're not going to have to worry about here in the late round. On T side of Dust 2, Spinx played a mix of lurky roles and somewhat aggressive roles. This round's another great example of textbook decision making and composure. Vitality initially send a player out long who spots a lot of presence, and so as Vitality take mid, once Spinx hears Dexter's AWP towards short, he knows he's almost certainly going to be safe moving through these long doors as there shouldn't be any CTs here, and he also knows his teammates are likely going to have a 2v1 on that B side of the map. So instead of trying to force the issue and help split onto that B site, he decides to stay composed, have confidence that his teammates are going to be able to trade their way onto B and cut off rotations instead, which he does fantastically here as he helps draw out this round win. And then there was also some of the entry work he provided, like here where he doesn't get a clean headshot, but he still wins this fight on long doors to get Vitality out into long in this round. Oh, and also, yet again, just take note of how Spinx is able to coordinate this peek with his teammate. He peeks slightly before his teammate on long because he's low, and that sets up this really nice trade onto the site. And then there's also some more of that firepower in Vitality's winning round in this map, where this shot is incredible against the AWP of Dexter. And he also goes on to show nice composure as his teammates split onto the B site. He realizes they're wrapping through mid, so he doesn't need to push the issue here. He can just wait for the fights to come to him. This opening game against OG looked great from Spinx, but I don't think OG really tested him on long too much when he was playing there on CT's side. So we're going to have to take a look at some other maps. Ents didn't previously play Inferno much, so this was Spinx's first official Inferno game in over a year. And it didn't exactly start great for him, as he started out 0-10 in this map due to a combination of a lot of tough entry spots he was put in. Also, shout out to Rez for this spot. You can see Spinx was trying to pre-aim up towards balcony, but Rez was down below, which is a really nice way of trying to catch your opponent off guard. And then there were also some rounds like this one, where Spinx clearly had a favorable fight, and you can't afford to lose too many of these at the top level. I do love this call in the round where Spinx gets his first bit of impact. In the previous round, Spinx went solo apartments and saw the AWP and got picked. And I think it's less likely CTs are going to run that same setup in towards apartments when they've just run it, because you're biased against running the same play again, thinking that your opponents are going to switch it up. So I love how Vitality called to just silent take the apartments, thinking it's more likely that it's going to be clear. That allows them to pop out through balcony, and these flashes are good enough to set up Spinx for that early entry and some successful trades onto the site. In general, Spinx would be playing towards the apartments, and so would either be entering or sometimes lurking and just keeping pressure on this A side of the map. And that's what he does in this round, as he sends some nades towards A, and then once he hears this rotate coming in through Arch, he times this flank perfectly to catch this first player off guard. And then with low time left, he realizes he has to go get involved over at B, and this is a 1v1 that's not easy to win, and I don't know if Hampus needed to take this fight here, but got to give Spinx a lot of credit for clearing these angles effectively under time pressure. I think the biggest boost is on the CT side though, where previously it felt like Apex was the playmaker on the B side of the map and Masuta was supporting him. Now they also have the option for Spinx to be more of a playmaker on this B side of the map, and he's putting out more multi-kills. Here, for example, where he's left solo on B, after smoking banana, he hears these steps and takes this wider angle at a great timing so that NIP aren't expecting this angle, considering they've just crossed over. And a lot of players would just go for one kill and try and get away here, but because of this switch up in angles NIP aren't expecting, he's able to get two and survive. And then there were rounds where Spinx would be the one flashed into banana to take some initial initiative. That sounds funny, but you know what I mean. Like this one where he's flashed in, does a great job to get this double kill. I think the main thing here is that Apex would oftentimes play aggressive on banana, but be pretty inconsistent. So having the ability for Spinx to either play supporting Apex when he's having a good game, or play aggressive himself when Apex is having a bad game, could be a very good option for Vitality. Then finally, his Mirage performance was probably his weakest, but still had some good moments, and he ended on basically an even KD. This pistol round was a good example of some of that clean aim that Spinx was bringing throughout, and then there were also rounds where just some standard team play was there, which was good to see, like this flash into mid to set up Spinx for this easy kill. And then finally, there was some more of that playmaking I was talking about. Here, Spinx realizes this connector smoke in conjunction with the jungle smoke is often used for Ts to try and sneak out around the stairs and jungle area to split onto A, and so he plays proactively and finds this lovely little gap between the smokes, and once he gets this kill on the connector side, it makes a massive difference because Astralis were hoping they wouldn't have to worry about this side. Instead, now Spinx is ahead of these smokes, and you can see the difference that makes. Overall, I think Spinx is almost certain to be an upgrade, and I don't think he's going to take too much away from the other players either. But the question for me is how Apex and the coaching staff decide to use him. It looks to me like Spinx could either play in a more passive role or more aggressive role, depending on what the team needs. I think he's good at both, and I think it's really going to come down to whether Apex can use him in the best way possible. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, why not check out another one? YouTube thinks you'll like this video over here.